Focus on the 45,000 dock workers threatening to strike across America's ports next week.
Port strikes are looming on the horizon, and I think that everyone should start getting prepared. I was just reading an article earlier about back in September the 19th, your current president, Joe Biden, says he will not pass an executive order. And I was thinking why he wouldn't pass an executive order. It only makes sense that you should, because all of our goods and services come from our ports, as far as, fruits, vegetables, things like that comes from, and toilet paper, of course, because if you remember back at C-19, when that happened, we had a huge shortage of a lot of items, and goods and services went up. People were left without things. So this is basically happening again, but in a different form. This time it's just the dock workers will be on strike.
The strike could cause empty fruit aisles and prices to soar in grocery stores.
And if this goes on long enough, one analyst claims that the strike could potentially cost the U.S. economy over $5 billion.
Joining us now, produce importer Peter Kopke Sr. Peter, thank you so much for being here. Peter, you have dealt with how many of these types of strikes in your 60 years in business? Multiples. But what could consumers be in store for? Shortages and higher prices for the very kinds of fruits that you import?
Yes, well, I've been doing it for 66 years, and I've experienced, we had strikes in the late 50s and in the 60s, and in 1971. The last strike was in 77.
My man been doing this for 66 long years, and the last time that there was a port strike was back in 1977. He knows a thing or two, and he knows that this is not going to be good. Here's my question, and I want you to think about this too as well before I start the second half of that video. Why now? Why now? I always ask my questions, why? Why this? Why that? Why won't Joe Biden step in and pass an executive order? If you're trying to stop inflation, why would you not step in to stop the strike? Yes, we all know that it's an election season, but at the same time, a lot of people out here can't even survive to even live. It's by grace of God that they are living right now, because they can't afford to live in this high economy. And sooner or later, there has to be a crash and it has to burn before it all can be reset. But until then, we are just at the mercy of the government and all this theater and drama that's going on, that's trying to get us to look one way when we should always be looking the opposite way. Don't look what they're showing us. Look the opposite way. All this stuff is just a distraction.
Of course, as soon as you have a strike, you have the supplies of all of those articles in the ships are cut off. So you have a market without the commodities, and the prices rise sharply. Right now, there's millions of boxes of citrus fruit, as well as bananas and others that are going to be caught in the strike. And if the strike lasts for any length of time, the fruit will deteriorate, and those people, those businesses who employ thousands of employees will have to stop, because they're going to lose millions of dollars. So it's a very, very serious thing, especially for perishables. It's not good for anything, but for perishables, it is a very, very serious question, because the fruit is not like wine. It deteriorates. It doesn't improve with age.
I'll take my glasses off. So like you said, things are different 50 to 60 years ago. Why is that? Because now we rely so much on our ports. Back in the day, back in his time, that most people were planting gardens and growing their own fruits and vegetables. But now we've become so reliant on our infrastructure as far as our ports and our goods and services. We are in a spot to where if one thing messes up, it's a downhill effect. So the ports closing down, guaranteed everything is going to go way up more than what it is before. And I guarantee you, remember back in C19, how high home prices went. That's just going to be so high that a lot of people will be priced out of the market. So it's just so aggravating because this is all intentional. It's like has nothing to do with being natural about it. Like, this is something that naturally doesn't happen. This is definitely being intentional and targeting us as Americans. And it's like, how much more can Americans take with inflation, in which now this is going to really accelerate it?
So everybody is affected when you have a strike. You have 45,000 workers affecting 350 million people. That's the effect of the strike. Yeah. So it's very, very serious. And if they go to strike for 30 or 40 days.
So if they go on strike for 30 to 40 days, what are you going to do? Think about that. What are you going to do for 30 to 40 days? That's roughly a month or a little bit over a month. Obviously, maybe the last strikes, we're just going to assume only went for 30 to 40 days. So my question is, why I'm asking you these questions is because to get you thinking, what are you going to do? Ma'am, sir, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? This is just to get you thinking. All the things that you need to go get today. Today is September the 27th. October 1st is when they are going on strike. 45,000 workers are going on strike.
Most of the produce will be lost. People will be going out of business. And the economy will be seriously affected in an inflationary way. The government says they want to reduce the inflation, but they can hardly reduce it if they don't even engage.
So with this strike, this is going to affect 35 million people. Imagine that. 45,000 dock workers, port workers, is going to affect 35 million people. And if you don't think this is going to happen, I'm here to tell you that I can't predict the future. I don't know 100%. But what I do know, and my discernment, it's my job for me to get my family prepared. My family, my household, where I live. I want to make sure that I'm going to be able to eat. I want to make sure I got toiletries, toothpaste, deodorant, all the essential things that I need. Gas on reserve. I need to get some seeds, stuff we should have been doing, and stop being reliant on this economy and start taking control of our own economy. Meaning that we need to start back planting our own fruits, our own vegetables, harvesting our own things, because this is just getting out of hand. And I'm really, it kind of gives me anxiety of where we're going. And I'm literally not seeing a way out of this. But what we do, we don't live in fear. That's one thing we don't do. We will never live in fear. We always put God first. He is in control, and he's going to put a hedge of protection around us. So I'm going to leave you with that. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video for the algorithm, and share this with a friend. I do appreciate it. And just like that, things are getting out of hand, and I'll see y'all in the next video.